going live on YouTube right now. 1 second. Okay, just the last step and I'll be with you. And Duncan. Okay, all done now. We can get going. Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. There is a lot going on this week. I mean, you might have noticed that crypto markets are started going sharply up, and then yesterday they seem to have turned the other way. So we're going to go and examine exactly what's happening and why the two things are going on, and any other new items that is worth paying attention to in the world of crypto. But I'll start sharing my screen straight away because we've already wasted a few minutes due to technical problems. So let's go into it straight away. Okay. We don't want to see this. So this is where we can start. Obviously, I'm Italian, so anything connected to cars actually captures my attention. So I couldn't avoid just showing you this Alfa Romeo, which is an iconic Italian car maker, and also recently rejoined the Formula One as well. He's actually entering the metaverse as well, with kind of hyper realistic photography in and they're going to be on Everdome. I mean, I don't know what the experience in the metaverse will be like, but it's just showing you that's the ongoing trend about big brands now. They are obviously taking notice, and they're trying not just to come into the crypto world and the metaverse, but also to be relevant, create experiences that are interesting for the users. So we will see. We'll report on this, in the next weeks and months to see what they have built. And at the moment, what we know is that they're using Ultra HD photogrammetric scanning technology, whatever that means. If you know what it means, then you can tell me, because I've got no idea. And they basically want to create hyper-realistic digital environments powered by Unreal Engine, which is one of the main engines for gaming and metaverse. Okay, so we'll see what that means. But apparently says the users will be able to create photorealistic avatars and explore a digital landscape that is almost indistinguishable from our own. So kind of mixing almost like augmented reality from what they are saying. So we'll see what that means. Now let's go into more serious stuff. And maybe we start from just have a quick look at the chart of Bitcoin, so that we can set the scene for what went on this week. Let me go on to bring this up. Wish there was a way to make the internet faster when we are zooming on Zoom as well. Okay. Here we go. So, okay, guys. So this is as usual the chart of Bitcoin against USDT. Okay. So I'm just making it bigger so it's easier for you to look at it as well. What are we? 1 hour. I'm going to, yeah, 1 hour chart should be okay. Oops, sorry, the other way. Making it a little bit smaller so we can fit in more into one screen. Okay, so this is where we were kind of like a mid-March. Just bring it a little bit closer so we can have a look at about a week. Also, so if you can see this was actually on the 27th when we got this this big jump. You know, when we see something like this, it's generally due to liquidations. In the sense that there are many traders that were like betting that Bitcoin would carry on going down. And let me just move this away. And there was a big kind of resistance point at around the $45,000 mark. And so when we breached that point, where either a lot of traders had stop losses or simply they didn't have enough money in their accounts to support the price going against them. So what the exchanges do, they just liquidate their accounts, and in that case, because the bets were on the way down, what the exchange does is just goes the other way. So they will liquidate their account and buy Bitcoin. If people were betting on the way up and it went the other way, like we see on the other side, so they liquidate by selling whatever their position is. So what it does basically, it accelerates the movement up or the movement down. Okay, so part of it, of what we've seen in March, you know, I kept telling you every week how Bitcoins are being moved away from the exchanges into cold storage wallets because people are taking long-term views of being bullish on Bitcoin in a way, and also there has been, and from middle of the last year, there has been an increased movement from crypto mining companies that have now got funding to support their operations rather than have to sell their Bitcoin. And now they're pretty much keeping all the Bitcoins they mine themselves rather than selling them onto the market to finance their costs like electricity and buying new machines and so on. So the big change has been that there's been very, very few Bitcoins coming onto the market. So it's been kind of like been a supply squeeze of Bitcoin, and sooner or later, you know, when the demand starts showing up, then that is reflected in price. And what we've had in particular in March, in particular, there's been an extended movement by you might be familiar with Terra, Luna, the project, to become. There's been a movement to become one of the biggest Bitcoins big and holder. Now, in March, they started accumulated Bitcoins, and now they hold about 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they're doing it so that they can support as an additional security layer the UST stablecoin. That is becoming one of the most sought after and supported stablecoins in the market. So the vision is their long-term target is to build a big 10 billion fund in Bitcoin to serve as a release valve for USD redemptions during, you know, periods of high market drawdowns. Okay, at the moment, USD is the fourth biggest stablecoin in the market, and is pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar. Okay, so they are moving from using Tether to using Luna directly to buy Bitcoin. And what the thing to understand is that what they are doing, so they are buying spot Bitcoin, by the same way that me or you can go on Binance or Kraken or anyone else and buy Bitcoin. They're doing the same thing. So because of the short supply of spot Bitcoin on the market, this is thought of being, mainly responsible for most of this movement, of Bitcoin going up from the low 40s to the high 40s, 48,000. And then, what happened yesterday is responsible for this. Okay, and this is what happened yesterday. Is the EU voted in favor of a crypto wallet crackdown. Okay, so what they have really done, they passed a controversial rule banning anonymous crypto transactions. Not the saying, it's not quite correct banning, but what they're saying, they put like reporting requirements for crypto exchanges when they are dealing with anonymous wallets, like MetaMask, Coinbase wallets, all the non-custodial wallets. So the new measures will require crypto services providers, such as exchanges, to collect the personal details of individuals who transact over 1,000 euros of crypto using self-hosted wallets before the transfer is allowed. So you might not be able to transfer money from MetaMask to your Binance account or your Kraken account, before you have maybe completed KYC or other things like this. So it's self-hosted wallets are basically those that are not held by third-party intermediaries like Ledger, for example, Treasure and MetaMask, and so many more, Exodus wallets and so on. So now this is not still written in law, is past the commission, but now this is going to the legislators. Okay, so it's being discussed by the European Parliament, the European Council, and the European Commission. So it's very complicated at the European level to make decisions. And there is this kind of like a hybrid system where the European Parliament doesn't have legislative power, but it's basically it's together with the European Council, which is the where all the heads of states meet together. So it's so there is still space for legislation to be changed, for changes to be introduced in the legislation, because this can be actually really quite dangerous. Some people have equated this to Big Brother. Okay, so we're kind of like they want to know everything that goes on, and literally at the whim of an authority, they could ask the crypto exchanger to pass on all details they have about you. And this is something that can be very damaging for the industry, but also for freedom in general. And there have been some high level comments. This is Brian Armstrong, the head of Coinbase. So this means before you can send or receive crypto from a self-hosted wallet, Coinbase will be required to collect, store, and verify information on the other party, which is not our customer, before the transfer is allowed. So you see all the problem, the actually practical problem that this will bring in. And this says, moreover, anytime you receive 1,000 euros or more in crypto from a self-hosted wallet, Coinbase will be required to report you to the authorities. Okay, this applies even if there is no indication whatsoever of suspicious activity. So just say, this is another thing that was said as well. Imagine if the EU required your bank to report you to the authorities every time you paid your rent, merely because the transaction was over 1,000 euros. Okay, and this is the reality of what this could mean if it is approved in its current format. Okay, so it's really quite big for the whole industry. Okay, and this is why there has been a negative impact in prices, because whenever there is insecurity, obviously the markets react negatively to it. But from another point of view, yeah, they are talking again. They are trying to control this market. Okay, and which way they can't control? Obviously, something that's not controllable, where it's completely decentralized. So if we're talking about MetaMask, for example, how can you control if I send money to you from MetaMask to MetaMask wallet, or coming from non-custodial to non-custodial wallet, there is no way of them to control anything because there's nobody to sue or to enforce regulations against. But what they are trying to control is the gatekeepers. So they are trying to tell you that every transaction should go through a regulated actor. That can be, at the moment, it could be the Coinbase, the Binance of this world. Tomorrow, who knows? They could introduce a centralized actor that all the transactions need to go through. But at the same time, they can control the decentralized web. So, from my point of view, this could be an advert for getting your money off exchanges, as in the past we've had the CEO Kraken came out during the Canadian issue that we had, with the trackers, when with money that was being collected. And the CEO Kraken actually came out and said, get your money off exchanges, even if it was against their interest, because if the authorities come to them and say, you need to comply, you need to do A, B, and C, they need to comply, because otherwise they don't have a business in that country. So they're very limited on what they can or do in support of the industry, because at the end of the day, they work in certain jurisdictions and they are a private company. And if they don't comply, then they will not be allowed to do business in that jurisdiction. But at the same time, think about it, in a decentralized world, especially as we've been talking in the past few months about the moment when you'll be able to spend your cryptos directly with retailers, to buy and sell things without having to go through an exchange at the point of sale. Because at the moment, even many of the shops and businesses, they accept crypto. It's kind of like a hybrid acceptance, in the sense that you pay with crypto, but they receive their local currency. Okay, so the moment that you buy something, your crypto gets exchanged for the local currency, and then they get paid with that. Okay, which is a different thing. But there are ways already that you can pay directly with cryptos, and obviously probably the one that many shopkeepers are already using is the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and that's the solution that's also being used in El Salvador, for example. And people can exchange goods simply, and that goes nowhere near a regulator, because it's directly on the Bitcoin network, and it's a peer-to-peer transaction. So to see what this will mean, first of all, we need to see. Will take about a year for this to actually be written into law, if it does. So we'll see what this will be once it's passed all the legislative process and all the amendments and all the things that will be thrown at it during this process. But also we'll see what effect it has for the decentralized world, because many people have seen it as a negative, because they're thinking, okay, I can't send from my MetaMask now from my Binance account. But on the other side, once we have more solution for on-ramp to decentralized wallets, we won't need centralized exchanges anymore. So obviously they will always be there because they make life easier for the users, but not necessarily they need to be there as a necessary part of the whole thing. So this will be interesting, because at the moment it's very, very fresh. It was only voted on yesterday, but let's see what it means. Okay, so this is some of the things. Go and read some of these articles yourself if you want, and very, very easy to find on Google. But at the moment, I say many people are thinking that this revision could unleash an entire surveillance regime on exchanges like Coinbase, and so stifle innovation and undermine self-hosted wallets that people want to use to securely protect their digital assets. This is many players have called this like a huge setback for crypto in the EU, and this is kind of unfortunate as well, because the EU was leading the way integration between crypto and real finance, real economy. There are so many new products that have come out, for example, in Germany, in Switzerland, many Austria, many exchange traded products where they are available first in the EU before they are available on other markets. So it will be quite interesting to see how this develops. It's still very fresh, but I was saying as immediately, apart from being detrimental to financial freedom and inclusion, and harmful to the EU from the point of view of competitiveness, transfers from crypto service providers to DeFi wallets will become more costly and burdensome. So, and all this without offering a clear benefit in the context of anti-money laundering rules. Also, another thing to be worried about is that if this goes on, there will be a huge pot. This reporting regime will create massive personal data honeypots. This is what I'm reading, okay? Both within private crypto companies and government agencies. And make no mistake, no matter the security precautions, these data pots will be too valuable to not get hacked at some points. So, and this is the worry. You don't want, all your, let's say all your crypto addresses with your balances and everything, knowing who they belong to be available to somebody, because once they know your identity and they know how much crypto you have, you might become a target for some criminals to come and target you outright. They come honestly, because they know that you have access to this crypto and that can be transferred very easily. They can literally come knocking on your door and and force you to pass on your assets to them. So you don't really want this to be accessed by somebody that has bad intention, because it could be very, very dangerous. Okay, now, sorry, let me just give me a second, guys. I think some people are being caught by the clocks, because let's say we went ahead with our clocks at the weekend, and in many countries it's happening this weekend. So I think some people are just logging in now, and you're gonna have to watch the recording to see what we talked about. But let's close some things. Okay. And this is what I was talking about. There's been a huge backlash after this vote. So this is what he's saying. Imagine if the EU required your bank to report you to the authorities every time you paid your rent, mainly because the transaction was over 1,000 euros, or if you send money to your cousin to help with groceries, the EU required your bank to collect and verify private information about your cousin before allowing you to send the funds. Okay, and just to be, we're in an environment where it becomes easier and easier to transfer money through, social media, through your phone, through apps like PayPal and Venmo, and this is kind of feels like a setback, and it's simply, for me, it's kind of it's a blatant attempt to keep the status quo. Okay, because what they want to do really is to control the outflow that they are seeing from the places they can control to this kind of huge unknown that they see as the cryptocurrency world. And also the big thing I am really sad about as well is that this is kind of undermines all the work that the EU did, because it's seen as a leader in privacy law and policy. So it punishes crypto holders disproportionately, and really it is eroding our individual rights. Okay, and because this is one, at the end of the day, I've seen that the right to manage your finances is a fundamental right. Okay, so we'll see. Hopefully, what they say now, that must be past the trialogue negotiation between EU Parliament, European Council, and European Commission. Okay, so and we're looking at 9 to 18 months from now to then establish, so write this into law and then actually put it into effect. Okay, so on a similar thing, let's say we look at what the Bank of Japan actually calls for the G7 nation to adopt a common crypto regulation, because what we've seen as well, and it's already happened with sometimes some of the regulation the US imposes on some projects. What we actually creating is opportunities really for some countries to be kind of more welcoming and more friendly to crypto. So really what we are doing is just like shifting the industry from one country to another. So there is talk of actually doing a concerted effort and coming to kind of the minimum standards for crypto that would be enforced in all the G7 nations. You know, that could be interesting from the point of view of regulation, as long as they don't come at it too heavy, because we've seen it before with President Biden the declaration last month. You know, that regulation, although in many industries seen as a kind of as a negative because it imposes extra weight, but it also seen in this case as legitimization of the blockchain, the cryptocurrency industry, because once we have some regulation, as long as it's not too bad, we then know what the limits are and what things can be done and cannot be done, and then the industry can really start growing from the point of view that they know that the authorities are not going to come knocking on their door as well. So this is the next thing that would take to agree something, anything between the G7 nations takes a lot of work. So I don't know when that will happen, but taking unilateral decisions, whether the US, whether it's the European Union, whether it's somebody else, some other big bloc, it doesn't really do anything for regulating the crypto industry as a whole, because it's very mobile and it can easily move. We've seen, most of the Bitcoin mining capacity is moved from China to the US in a matter of months. It didn't take very long at all, and it hasn't made any change to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network. And that was a huge, as big as you can possibly get in cryptocurrency. So especially when it's relating single project and financial issues, they can move in a heartbeat. So having something like this that is announced like a year before it's applied, just gives everybody a year to just work a way around it. So it won't stop it. It might cause relocation of many projects, and now relocate from the European Union to places outside of the European Union. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know that today I'm quite heavy onto this, but it is relevant, and we're seeing that it has had an immediate effect on price as well. So we can't ignore this. Okay, and these are the things that charts will not tell you. So this hasn't happened because of a technical issue. Okay, this is news related. All right, so whatever you might watch, I mean, there are hundreds of videos on YouTube or whatever that tell you kind of like technical analysis, and I understand technical analysis and using myself as well, but there are limits to it as well. And one thing you don't do with technical analysis, you don't use it during periods of important news releases. So that's the first thing you get taught when if you're thinking of trading any particular market, just say stay away from the market during periods of when news are released, because A, you can control the news, and secondly, as a person, as an individual, you don't have access to the high speed resources that some of the big players have. So they can take literally a fraction of a second in a market like this, can make a big difference. So you don't want to play in a battle that you can't win. Okay, now changing, kind of still talking about regulation, but a different thing. This is interesting, actually, something I've been talking about as well for a while. We're talking about stable coins, you know, and there were big things about, you know, you remember about, we talked about Terra, and kind of like, and there is this, they're still going on with the regulation, because they say, well, they were kind of sort of being backed by the US dollar, but they couldn't quite describe exactly how. You know, now what they're saying, there's been introduced a Stablecoin Transparency Act that will require stable coins to be fully backed by the dollars or short-term government securities. And stablecoin issuers would also have to publish audited reports. I mean, this I know it sounds like extra regulation, and I don't like this wording about the short-term government securities either. But from one point of view, it is good if there is some regulation at the level of stablecoins, because at the end of the day, you know, you are interacting with these particular stablecoins on the belief that they are completely backed by US dollars. Now, if there is a claim like that, it really is in crypto is don't trust, verified. So show us the books, show us where these dollars are. You know, if you've got like whatever 50 billion of stable coins in the market, where are these 50 billions in US dollars? You know, there must be deposited somewhere. And this is what this is talking about. Okay, so first of all, if they say they are fully backed by stable coins, see these dollars, and also have proper reports that are audited, that can be checked. On a similar thing, one of these projects is USDC, that most of you probably know if you're in cryptocurrencies. This is this Circles, which is the company. So basically, is in the kind of like a Coinbase stable coin, really, USDC. And now they made an agreement with the Bank of New York Mellon to become the primary custodian. Okay, so they obviously USDC, like many other stable coins, is backed by is pegged to the US dollar. Okay, and now they're saying that they will work with BNY Mellon to build to kind of like this hybrid system, so between cryptocurrency and the real financial world, because it's exactly what I was talking to you a minute ago. Okay, so they are saying that all the dollars are backed, so the stable coins are backed by dollar. So this way will be a more transparency, more visibility of where these dollars are and what they're used for. Oh, different aspect now, and this is again something that will be started probably in different countries across the world. Now there is, from the 1st of April, there is 30% flat levy on all capital gains made on cryptocurrency, kicked in today. Okay, so this is in India, and also they've introduced 1% tax deducted as source on every crypto transaction. This is from July. Okay, so obviously this is not very positive news for the crypto industry in India, and there have been many kind of conflicting reports of good news, bad news, good news, bad news every week from India. This is bad, okay, as bad as it comes. But at the same time, it does kind of draw the line in the sand, and so players can account and exchanges and people that operate in India at least know what the rules are. Okay, and they can play within those rules if they want to. This is kind of a new kind of like news, and this is WisdomTree, which is a big fund manager. There has over 80 billion in under management. Has launched 3 new crypto ETP, stands for exchange traded products. So this is kind of like things that you can buy in the stock market, like shares, but they are funds that invest in crypto projects. Okay, so these new projects will be on Solana, Cardano, and Polkadot. Okay, specifically. So, and this is important because if you think about it, if you in this way you can buy and sell these products without getting involved in the complexity of blockchain. So if you just want it as a financial investment, you can buy through your broker, and just be using your dollars, euros, pounds, whatever you want. You can buy these products, and they are liquid because they're quoted on the stock exchange, so you can buy and sell them easily, and you don't have to worry about custody or anything like that because it's all taken care of. Obviously, it's not what we want to do in the long term, but it is important that there is a way for people to do that as well, because there's something in it for everybody. Now, WisdomTree also offers some three crypto basket exchange traded products. They're called Block, Vault, and Mega, and they have a basket of cryptocurrencies, not just one of them, but we'll have several ones in it. And there's also another one. FTX have launched a physical stake Solana exchange traded product in Germany. And another DeFi subsidiary, Value, has launched Terra, so Luna and Avalanche exchange traded product in Germany as well. So so just telling you, because these products aren't being made available because there is so much demand now, not just in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but in other projects as well. And these kind of products make it easy, not just for people like you and me that maybe are not tech savvy and they don't want to do it directly by getting involved with the crypto exchange, but people that just want to invest out of the security of the brokerage account that they have known. But it's also for the institutions, because now this is a regulated product. Even if crypto is not a regulated product, these exchange traded products are. So they become then an investable product for some institutions. They are limited in what they can take part in or not. And we've seen last year as well that many investment funds are now have the mandate to invest a part of the funds under management in crypto. So they have got an order from the shareholders, from the users. Okay, go and invest a small part. Maybe most of them are between kind of 3 to 5%. But to invest some of it in cryptocurrency. These kind of products make it possible for them to do that. Okay, and this is why important. That's why I bring it to you, because it's not black and white. Kind of, we either do buy crypto or we don't. There are many steps that need to be put in place to be able to do certain things. And like last year, we were talking about a crypto index, again, that was created in the US, and that comes before you can even start creating, ETFs and ETPs, in crypto. Okay, just a couple of minutes and then we go on to questions. We often talk about quantum computers, and this is kind of like there was a kind of like quantum computers, especially saying that there is a lot of rubbish being talked about with quantum computers at the moment. They can't really do very much at all, and there's still a long way to go for quantum computing to become a real thing. But the important thing as well is that this will not affect something like Bitcoin or many of the cryptocurrencies, because they're already planning for this, and they're already planning of becoming kind of like quantum resistant when quantum computing becomes a real possibility. Okay, so don't worry about it too much right now. And the last thing, this is regards one of the DeFi biggest names, which is Phantom. So they've launched a 335 million incentive program. So this is to 12 projects launch on Phantom. So there will be grants given through a Phantom incentive program. There was one last year as well, and this is kind of like an extra layer on it to develop the Phantom ecosystem. And I say within DeFi and Ethereum virtual machine compatible projects, Phantom has been one of the leaders in 2021. Okay, so I think I'm done for me talking right now, and let's get some questions. So let me stop sharing. Okay. So again, sorry, Pierre, it's not a time change. It's just been the I think the daylight saving time in the UK, which kicked in last week. I know that, for example, Australia has the daylight saving going on this weekend. So, I mean, I don't know in South Africa how daylight saving work. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I wish they wouldn't bother with this. You know, it will make life a lot easier as well, especially now that we do operate across countries and time zones, and it just complicate things. But yeah, that's the thing. So if there are no time changes for you, that this will be the time for you from now on. And for those of you like in Australia where the time is changing this week, then we'll be back to normal. At the moment, there's only 10-hour difference between the UK and Australia. It was 11, and it will be 11 again next week. So, okay, guys, let's. Anybody has questions or would like to unmute yourself and ask questions? No?
Yes, Luca, I was trying to put the Jewel on Crypto Compare, and it's just not. It's just saying unavailable or something. It won't come up no matter what I try. Because I'm putting it in as $1.99, and the price never has been at $1.99 on the charts. Do you think that's what's stuffing it up?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's like Crypto Compare supports every single token. So honestly, I don't know. There are so many of these listing sites and portfolio kind of sites. I've got no idea. But good luck finding out. Let me know once you found out. Jewel, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jewel is the token for DeFi Kingdom, which yesterday launched its own blockchain. So there is now it was before on the Harmony blockchain. Now they've got their own blockchain, the same way they actually Infinity last year launched their own blockchain for them. That was the one of the things that spurred their growth exponentially, because then because they were on Ethereum, and then it was possible to do things for little money rather than for a lot of money, and then it developed their blockchain. I don't think it would be the same for DeFi Kingdom, simply because Harmony was already cheap, so it doesn't make a difference from that point of view. But having control of what they can do on their own blockchain obviously has advantages as well. And what will happen in the long term is that's the first game that is going cross-chain. So the actual game will be so you'll be required, if you are playing the game, of doing things in different ecosystem on different blockchains. So at the moment he's on Harmony One and Avalanche, but they already announced they will have an outpost on Polygon as well, and there are talks as well of being on Luna and Phantom soon too. So it's going to be interesting because the game is being developed and the game mechanics are being released every now and again. So some of the things you'll need to do with your NFTs, you need to move them from chain to chain to get them to do different things, and it's going to be it's a gamified experience to get people to understand blockchain as well, which is, I think, a great idea. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay. Any other question?
I put mine in the chat, Luca.
Okay. What about halving of Ethereum? What do you mean halving of Ethereum?
Well, I read about this, that there were two very important developments, or they say things happening to Ethereum. One has already happened. This with this, the words are too difficult. This narding, or this thing that happened last December, and they're gonna do like that's gonna be like a third or something. Maybe I understood it wrong.
What's happening? They are starting the process of what is called the merge. The merges mean when the Ethereum, because at the moment they have basically a proof of work. It's still proof of work Ethereum, but it's moving to proof of stake. Okay, so at the moment they have the proof of stake is running in parallel, in a way. So they're having a transaction in two different places, and then they will go into merge. So that then it will become a proof of stake blockchain. So they've been talking about this now it's kind of like it's gonna happening next. It's been happening next month for the past 3 or 4 years. Okay. So it is going to happen at some stage. People are nowadays saying it's going to happen in June. So we'll see. We'll see when it does, and then once it happens, then there's going to be, obviously, when these things are done, there's always bugs and issues. So before it's fully deployed and fully working, probably going to be pushed to beginning of 2023 until it's fully deployed. But yeah.
Okay, and is that process, if it goes to proof of stake, that was coupled to them taking some Ethereum off the market with every transaction for creating the scarcity. Okay, so this scarcity thing is that's what I meant by how.
Yeah, but what you need to understand, that Ethereum is different from Bitcoin because they have no maximum supply. Bitcoin is a 21 million, and it's always going to be 21 million coins. Ethereum has no upper limit, so they can keep printing Ethereum at will, in a way. What they have done, now they've reduced that by burning the coins. There will against new coins being created. So it is thought that if the activity on the network is very high, at the end of the year, it might be deflationary. So there might be less coins in circulation rather than more, but that remains to be seen. Okay, so it's not a fixed. Okay. It's not something that you can say for certain. There's going to be, 21 million today, and there's 20,900,000 next year. You can't do that. It will depends on activity on the network.
Yeah, that's a real multifactorial thing. Whereas in Bitcoin, it's in the principle. Okay, so if you see this thing, what does it mean for the position of Ethereum and Cardano in the coming? So the time frame, you say it might be years because they've been saying this for years. And how do you see that with Cardano as sort of a new Ethereum, or are they going to exist side by side forever?
Well, Cardano is not a new Ethereum at all. Cardano is a better Ethereum. So I would say we can get. I mean, obviously, Cornelia. I mean, it's not. I don't think, and I might be wrong in this, but I don't think there's going to be one project to dominate them all. Okay, so there's going to be many different projects in existence. There is room in the market for Ethereum, for Cardano, for Polkadot, for many other projects. It doesn't mean that one is going to be at the cost of the other. But we know how Cardano is going along its merry way, and it's growing incredibly right now, because of many projects they're actually releasing their dApps onto the blockchain, and that's kind of growing the ecosystem in an incredible way. So it is a different product. I mean, and Jonathan here, I was planning to, if there weren't any questions, to give him a few minutes to talk to us about development in Cardano this week. He can attest to that. There are so many advantages to the Cardano blockchain compared to Ethereum that I'm a lot more bullish about Ethereum, about Cardano, than I am about Ethereum, although I know that they're both going to be there for many years to come. Jonathan, do you want to update us? Any news, any Cardano news that you could share with us?
Oh, just on that point, that there's not going to be a one chain to rule them all. I fully believe that as well. And I definitely think that Cardano will be the lead. Well, personally, I think it'll be the leading blockchain. but that's because it has worked hardest at becoming interoperable. So, you know, even this last week, we now have an Ethereum virtual machine running on Cardano. So you can actually carry out all your typical Ethereum application activity, exchanges and swaps, but using the Cardano blockchain. So taking the benefit of the Cardano fee structure, which is minuscule in comparison to Ethereum, and still carry out the same functionality. So you've got, you know, a huge release just this week that, you know, people have been exchanging ADA to Ethereum without touching any centralized exchanges. So that's interoperability, where you've actually got tokens of completely different technology being able to just be exchanged within the same wallet. So you can have Ethereum in your MetaMask and in your ADA wallet now, and vice versa. So yeah, the technology will defeat any problem that arises, and any challenge that comes up, people will design a way around it. So yeah, Ethereum will survive as a token, whether the technology underlying survives, because what's the point in having a proof of stake model that's taken years to release and has kept getting knocked back, when there's already, you know, several out there on the market that are functioning just fine. And so once there are bridges built between the two, then all the Ethereum assets can move off to another chain without real hesitation. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and certainly Cardano is seeing huge explosive growth at the moment. Yeah, as you well know, Luca. So definitely one to watch. Yeah, the price action as well is on the way up at the moment. So sorry, you're muted, Luca. Sorry.
Obviously, it's gone up 50% in the past couple of weeks. But can you just guide the people that are not as familiar with Cardano wallets? So how you can practically do exchange, let's say, from Ethereum to ADA using a Cardano wallet?
I haven't personally done it yet myself, because I do believe in holding multiple coins. So I'm not going to sell my ETH just yet. But there's a development team on Cardano called DC Spark. The founder of that team came originally from Emergo, which is the sort of Japanese funded starting company that is one of the big three around Cardano. So you've got Cardano Foundation, IOG, or IOHK as they originally called, and Emergo. So Sebastian from Emergo, he ended up launching his own side business called DC Spark, and they've built the first Ethereum virtual machine on top of Cardano. And there will be others down the road probably as well, but this is the first one. He's a strong Ethereum developer before he was a Cardano developer. And so you can use your, you can register with the Milkameda side chain. You can register it as a network that underlies your wallet. And that then gives you the interoperability between MetaMask to Daedalus or Yoroi to MetaMask. So that sort of activity is now possible using their platform.
Are they on chain list already? Do you know?
I don't know whether they've been listed yet, but I mean, it's just this week, so all the Cardano YouTubers are going crazy about it. So there's plenty of content if you want to go and find somebody to read, to listen to, Hashoshi or Big Pay. Yeah,
I think it's really nice to see, because there's so much, as you just said, you know, there is so much activity. It's nice to have a place like this where we come every week and we can talk about different things, because it is even for me that I'm involved in this space, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Jonathan, that, you know, although we spend several hours a day in this space, it's impossible to follow everything. So just being, you know, I know that you got your work cut out, just being in the Cardano blockchain without even thinking about all the other blockchains that are out there. Just amazing. So I, you know, for one, yes, I do, you know, like to keep informed about as much as I can. Also, I'm the first one to, you know, to listen to other people, because I can't, you know, my time is limited on this. There's only so many things I can follow. So, you know, if you can have a shortcut and have somebody that has spent a lot of time studying something that you haven't, then listen to them, because it's very valuable.
One thing that made me laugh is that Cardano is known as the sensible academic, you know, most peer-reviewed, white paper-driven blockchain out there, and yet they had their big Cardano 360, which is sort of end of month news release, and their big news this time was that Snoop Dogg and Charles Hoskinson are launching their own NFT range on Claymation, which is like, if you've ever seen Wallace and Gromit, the clay animation type thing. So you're going to have Snoop Dogg and Charles Hoskinson characters animated in clay as the as the big news item for this sensible, serious blockchain. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, I read that as well. Actually, it just popped up on my news feed. That's interesting. I didn't have time to get it in the thing, to get it into this call, but it be next week. We'll have a few preview of the Charles Hoskinson and Snoop Dogg NFT.
Yeah. So on the 5th of April, they're doing something together. I think there's a Twitter space or something. So that should be amusing.
Yeah, but you know what? As funny as it is that those are the kind of things that they make you visible as well. You know, as sad as it is that we have to have something like Snoop Dogg to get people interested in Cardano. At the end of the day, that's the reality. It's the way it is. You know?
Yeah. So it shows that it's becoming mainstream now. So the public awareness is reaching the point where it's worthwhile for Snoop Dogg to get involved with a blockchain project. That's
we always, thing. We've always been talking about, Cardano, Algorand, and Ergo as well as another project that got that kind of a scientific approach to blockchain, and it is, and I think it's what many people don't realize, and how valuable this will be once we go from where we are now to the mass adoption stage, because it, kind of the approach that Ethereum is taking, it becomes very dangerous once you have then huge amount of users and huge amount of funds, and then you find out vulnerabilities. I mean, just in 2022, we already had, over 1 billion that's been stolen from Ethereum hacks. And I'm thinking, how can you be like, trusting all these protocols, as a user that's not, technically minded, when there's so much of the funds invested just being, taken away from users, because of vulnerabilities that they're not even aware of, so something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and even on that note as well, another bit of news that perhaps slipped under the radar was that I've got to say the right one now before I disparage one of the chains. I think it was
Axie Infinity. Are you talking about?
No, I was on Cardano. I think it was MinSwap.
Oh yes, yeah.
They launched new decentralized exchange on Cardano. So using all the underlying technology that it brings the securities to Cardano. But it was it's a new product launched on mainnet, had a great success. In fact, I think it's the second largest total volume locked exchange now on Cardano. But they had, it was discovered by an external auditing team that weren't paid to do the work, but they went in and audited and found a vulnerability that meant that there was, a huge portion of the wallets that were actually of the locked ADA that was possible to be siphoned off. So fortunately, that team then reported it to the original development team, and they had a fix released within it was less than 24 hours. And they actually used the vulnerability to migrate those accounts to the safe new upgraded version without having to involve any of the customers. So there was a potential for it all to have been swept under the rug and kept quiet, but it was revealed, it was talked about, IOG were informed, and so that the community is absolutely crucial to which chain you choose as well, because if you've got active teams who are working to collaborate with other development teams, that's where you actually see stability and security. It's the whole open source movement that really kept that ADA safe in this instance, as opposed to several projects which run their code as closed source, and so you don't have that potential to have an audit from third parties who are just looking for vulnerabilities. You've got your white hat hackers and your black hat hackers that you want to keep your white hat hackers fed with code so that they can keep finding these vulnerabilities and squash them before they're exploited.
Actually, funny enough, Jonathan, I saw a graph. There was a saying, difference in employment of full-time developers in different blockchains. I'm thinking, and sometimes you see, obviously, having known what's going on, and you see the activity on different blockchains. There are some names that I never heard of, kind of a blockchain. I think how we can, if you use something like that, obviously you are thinking about what you're talking about, kind of like closed projects, because if something is open source, then you wouldn't have full-time paid developers because they are working on their own projects, on their own things. And and so it's how do you include that in statistics like this? Having studied statistics, I also know that statistics can be manipulated every which way you can to show so you want to show. It just made me think because, and the main reason was I think, where's Cardano in there? Because it was nowhere in this chart. And okay, how can it be when they've been at the top of the GitHub commits, for kind of months and years, and but it's not showing. So it's sometimes, guys, even things that look official, always question things. Always ask yourself the question: Is that true? Is that really to be trusted or not? Because the more you ask, the more you find out. It's just about in everything in life, and I think it's not if to ask or not, if it's kind of like what questions to ask that get you to move forward. Yeah. Okay. We'll take one last minute question before we I know that today. So if you have one more question, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to rush off.
Yes, Maluka. With the movement generally, what looks like an bullish moving, do you think that without being financial advice, of course, that we should maybe be moving from stable coins into altcoins?
Sorry, I mean, at the moment, team, the way things are moving, it's kind of news related, and that affects everything. It's not that one thing is affected more than another. If there is fear about how to access projects safely, then that affects absolutely everybody. In general, then you got to ask yourself the question: will that fear last? Because I think, to be honest with you, I personally think that there is too much involved already for being completely derailed by simple regulation. But what regulation can do, it can slow pace of adoption. But there is we can see it's not just cryptocurrency project, and we can discuss which ones are more or less advanced. But there is so many traditional finance now that's moving into the crypto world, and and those. It's not the fact that you count the money, but is thinking that projects that control 50, 80, 100 billion worth of funds also are powerful lobbyists. And they will have many politicians in their pockets trying to move forward their narrative and their idea. So the more institutional investors you get on board, the more then politicians listen as well. Okay, because these are the people that pay their campaign, and they make a difference between them being re-elected or not. Okay, so I think personally we've gone past the point of no return, and where they could have banned cryptocurrency maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I don't think it's possible anymore. That's my opinion. Okay, but it's not, as I say, I will not go short-term trends, because to be honest with you, they don't interest me that much. I'm more like a kind of a long-term investor. I'm more interested about how projects are building. Okay, so if you want to play these games of moving things from stablecoin to major, to Bitcoin, something like that, you can at your peril. I don't bother, to be honest with you, unless it's something really major. I don't think we're at that. I don't think we're at that point right now.
Thank you.
Okay, you are welcome. Okay, guys, I will close the call here. I'm sorry that I know that some of you are coming at the last minute because of the problem with the clocks. I think we moved forward in the UK, and some of you haven't yet. So please bear that in mind for next week as well. But next week, if you're in a country that is doing daylight saving at the weekend, that will be back to normal by next week. I know that for those of you in AIW, I know that sometimes the Google Calendar didn't quite adapt to the daylight saving time, so you might have actually had a link for the wrong time. And don't blame me. I'm not in charge of that, so it's not my fault. Okay. But yeah, we should all the daylight saving should have played out by next week, so we should be fine. Okay, so everybody have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you all next week. Okay, bye everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Luca.